Welcome to the Creative Spaces podcast with Guy Zwick and Scott Samil of Highway 85 Creative. In each episode, we will discuss creative ways to define your space and build your brand.
Welcome to another edition of the award-winning Creative Spaces podcast. I am Scott Samil, your co-host, joined by my pal and partner in crime,
Guy Zwick.
So yeah, I think one of the topics that came up, and one of the sentences that were said, is that folks go to a show and $100,000 later they're left with a hangover. That's it. Like, what do they have to show for it?
I love that you just used that trade show hangover. So
let's talk about that trade show hangover. I'm
going to trademark it and register it, and we're going to use it. God, that's such a good way to put it.
How about Exhibit Live?
Because I think sometimes when I spend so much time talking about the planning, it is so much about this. Let's just put it out there. There's this negative hangover, right, after trade shows, and then when that remembrance of that hangover, when we go, especially the people only have one or two shows, and you come back and you're doing see them again this year, next year, and it's just like, oh man, I was hungover for a long time after that one, and you're just like, well, if you would have, planned a little bit better, ate dinner before you got drunk,
right,
and had water in between the drinks.
There's a lot of things happening
if
here.
If you set up a nice plan and then, maybe got up in the middle of the night and had a little more water and then had an energy C when you woke up, and all of a sudden you don't have a hangover, or maybe you don't drink as much.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? We're talking, there's a literal hangover where basically all this money is being spent. All this money is and time and resources and rigging and all this stuff that most folks don't know that goes into a trade show. When the brass show up, is the show there or not? After the show's over, you go, but everybody's hungover. It's like, oh my God, I have nothing to show for it but a headache? That's not good enough. And what you're saying is, okay, there's the physical hangover of the dudes and gals on site. And then afterwards, there's the malaise at the company, like, I'm so glad that show's over. I don't want to think about it again for 9 months. And that's precisely the wrong way to go.
And when a lot of our clients, get in these pre-planning meetings before they show up to us, it's the same thing. There's 5, 6, 7, 10 of them in a room. We got to talk about SEMA this year, and it's just a bunch of it's like it's that has got to go away. You shouldn't have the or don't go don't be at the show.
Don't go.
You if you're having that you either not doing something right and need to relook at it, or you should just not be going. And when you're with the people that come so excited about all the things that they happened last year and all these new ideas that they have, and they're pumped, which you just asked me, and it's 20% of our clientele, and the other 80 are what I just described, the opposite.
There are hangovers waiting to happen. That's
and so now their discussions are, how do we avoid the hangover completely, instead of like, let's plan better. Let's get this. Let's reverse engineer, like I always say,
right,
from the goals and the success. And the problem is they got to get deeper in on that too. And then, I just like the hangover part, because that hangover just they don't forget it. They come back to the to the bar.
No,
the next time.
This is where my head's going. I think you said it really well. There's a literal. Listen, trade shows are popular in Las Vegas and Orlando for a reason. People are getting out of the wintertime and they're going somewhere, having some fun, right? And so there's always an aspect of I'm taking my clients out afterwards. So there's a physical, I'm drinking too much alcohol part of things. But then there's the whole corporate hangover part, which is, okay, I'm so worried about it. It's overdone. I'm sick. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. But embrace the hangover. You can do things so that you don't have a hangover if you do the right thing, right?
If you've got a hangover, you should be calling your exhibit house, your marketing team, your design team together to say, hey, right after that show,
that's a good point.
We need to discuss this. We need to all rally up and figure out how we don't have a hangover on the next one or next year, and do it then. And get into all the dangers and obstacles that happened and why they're feeling the way they're feeling, and and then start planning then, or, you shelf all that stuff and you get good notes, and then when it is time to plan, you start with that baseline instead of just kind of remembering the hangover and let's try not to do that again, and not really do the work.
It's a really good point
to undo that.
I think that's well said. Ideally, the show's over right then is when you start talking about the next one. If it's just not possible, then when you do take the stuff out of its box and start talking about it, and preferably with enough time to do something with it, you go in knowing, I don't want a hangover. I want to be energized after this. I want to do it the right way. That's what we're saying here.
Be thankful. Be thankful for the trade shows. Be thankful for that hangover and undo it. It's just a mindset. Changing the mindset is huge.
That's the thing. If I landed 3 or 4 clients who had great conversations, and I had a bit of a hangover because I overdid it, that's okay because I had the result. But to have a hangover and nothing to show for it but $100,000 off my marketing budget, why is that good for anybody? Mm-hmm. Showing up just to show up is just silly. Mm-hmm. That's what we're saying.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're saying.
So you can be a lot more proactive in saying, listen, let's not just show up with let's not have the plan being the hangover effect. Let's make sure we don't have one. But the way you do that is you plan on it. You plan on doing things the right way.
Nobody likes a hangover, but everybody wants to have a good time.
Thank you for listening to Creative Spaces Podcast. For more information about Highway 85 Creative, visit us at highway85creative.com.